Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tier Listing with the Discography. With me this time to cover Green Day's massive discography is the one and only Beez from Mosh Talks, from Knotfest, from Twitch, and many, many other things that you can check out below in the description. How are you doing today, Beez?
I'm awesome. The Lakers are in the NBA Finals. It's my first time being here, and it's kind of bizarre. So I'm meeting my friend, who is a Miami Heat fan, and we met in the queue for the Hella Mega Tour Whiskey A Go-Go show. That's where we met.
Okay.
So it's like kind of today feels like it's all coming full circle.
Man, okay, so you have perfect timing with all of that. So all I know is next year we need to move you to St. Louis, so that way the Blues get the playoffs, and then we get the Hella Mega Tour. St. Louis doesn't get the Hella Mega Tour on that one that got canceled, so I'm traveling no matter what. So
it was a good night, man. It was a really good night. I have to say, Fall Out Boy really brought it that night.
See, I've never seen Fall Out Boy either. And I still want to know what they can do now, because I've seen the damn things before, and that's half of Fall Out Boy, just a lot angrier with Scott Ian shredding around, so that's totally different too. Also, for everyone watching, Beez just had an awesome interview with Scott Ian about Mr. Bungle. I'll put the link of that down below in the description too. Totally worth checking out. Holy crap, Mr. Bungle is back. That's just weird, but
good times.
It is. But the topic today at hand is Green Day. At this man's request, and this is the perfect discography to cover on a show like this, because I totally will say this out loud, Green Day has the variety of everything from top to bottom. So I think that's really where it goes. So let me do this. Okay, so we're all set for the presentation. I think we're good to go. Anything you want to say before we start talking, praising, complaining about Green Day's discography? Because I have thoughts both high and low.
Yeah, I think that Billie Joe Armstrong is on the Mount Rushmore of punk rock for so many of the brilliant songs and albums that he has written. Mm-hmm. But if you cut the Green Day discography off at a certain point, it's varying degrees of gold. But where we are in 2020 make this a really, really interesting list, because if you'd have told me in 2002 that he'd be writing songs like Fuck Time one day, I would have been pretty astounded. Yeah. So really looking forward to getting into this one with you, man.
Exactly. So we'll get to every point, because I have the chronological order of the albums and the years they came out written down right here. So just to do that. So get ready for this. 30 years ago, 39 Smooth. That is 3 decades old at that point. That's just weird to me that 39 Smooth came out 3 decades ago now.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's funny, man. Like, there is an incredible book written by a British music journalist called Ian Winwood that is called Smash, that is about the run-up to 1994 and everything exploding and Dookie and all the rest of it. And what is so interesting to me is where Green Day fit in pre-1994, and when they were actual teenagers putting this record out. Yeah,
and this is 1990, not the high-end production studios that many other bands had at the time. This was Green Day pretty much recording on the budget of a ham sandwich, making their first album. And that's really what it was.
Yeah, but I feel the quality of the songwriting is still so high that it kind of balances that out.
It does, and it shows through that too. You can hear the real punk presence from these guys at that young age, and you still get everything involved with that too, even though it was at a time where that sound and that style was not even on the radar yet. And you could tell they were just ready to burst out of that scene, and they still have to wait a few years. But this is such a strong first step for any band.
Yeah, it's a fascinating scene as well that they were part of at that point in time. 924 Gilman Street and all of the bands and the mystique around it. And it felt like this was the time where punk rock was on its arse, but burning through the darkness were Bad Religion.
Yes.
And Bad Religion were inspiring everyone at this point in time. And I feel like these songs crackle with a certain youthful exuberance is at the forefront, but it always feels like there's hope involved in these songs as well.
I was going to say, there is the slightest sense of optimism in everything on this album. Even though a lot of the songs aren't meant to be optimistic, you still get that from the performance. You still feel enlivened and just more rejuvenated after hearing something like this. It's hard to sit still and not get a little bit of a smile on your face when you hear even the ridiculous stuff. Even when you go from The Judge's Daughter and Paper Lanterns and stuff, just like in the middle of the album and you just hear some of that, it just puts a little grin on your face because you realize this is the start of everything. And it's so fun.
And it's the blueprint written for where pop punk would go when it explodes.
Right.
Like every band that came post 94 were always accused of sounding like Green Day, and that's because Green Day wrote the blueprint for all of it.
Yeah.
And the blueprint starts here.
Right. And it's the blueprint you would want to follow anyway. It's not like no one's trying to improve on Green Day at that point either. Everyone wanted to be Green Day because Green Day was one of the biggest things in the world a few years after this one. So
yeah, and the thing about the songwriting here is I think there's a real maturity to it for that age. Like, to be able to be a teenager and to write a lovelorn song like Only a View, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, when I say about that youthful exuberance, is it feels like there's real moments that burst out of the speakers. Mm-hmm. Like, I have seen Green Day in the 90s open with Going to Passalacqua.
Okay.
And the place just exploded. And it's crazy to think that is right here, right now, at the library. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just so much energy.
There is.
And I think that is the folly of youth.
Yeah. I mean, this is youth in a nutshell, too, because you're just throwing everything you can in the most energetic way, and you can tell they have the talent to do it. My remark about them recording an album on that budget of a ham sandwich, I mean, this is like bare bones production, but look how good it was.
Yeah, I think when we put this in the standards of what is around it, it's hard to argue gold.
Yes.
Because there is a certain amount of filler on here.
Yeah.
Minimal.
It's filler in not a bad way, though. I mean, this is first album.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
totally. Not bad. Yeah. Just like songs that would be a bar break in the live set, right?
Yeah.
But the gold on this record is there front and center. Like those songs that I was mentioning in particular, Going to Passalacqua and At the Library and Paper Lanterns and Only a View. That is the quality of the great stuff makes it difficult to call it bronze as well.
I was thinking silver on mine because I have my notes, just like loose stuff. I was thinking silver because...
Happy to go with it, brother.
Silver, okay, good. We could settle on that one. That's an easy one. Because, again, like, I can't call it gold, especially when you compare it to later generations of Green Day and what they do later. But this is not on the bottom half by any means, especially for what it is, too. So
Not with what's ahead, my friend.
Oh, we'll get to the bottom half. Oh, man, that's going to be weird. So we fast forward to Kerplunk. And like you were talking about how this 39 Street was the blueprint of Green Day, Kerplunk was the blueprint for Dookie. And I really feel that was that necessary step to make Green Day a household name. Because Dookie would not exist without Kerplunk. Not a chance.
No doubt about it. And when they were on Lookout Records putting this out, like they had borderline outgrown the label because Green Day were turning up, selling out their vinyl in their CDs in the first couple of tour dates. And every town that they were going to, they were like, we literally can't get the records. Like they literally, the fans couldn't get the records. But creatively on this record, I think certain things change. You're definitely 100%. You're definitely right that it's the blueprint for Dookie. 100%. I like to see little things like the wittier end of Green Day coming in and the comedic side coming in with Dominated Love, Slave and things like that. Very playful.
Yes. there's so many things like that, like Dominated Love Slave, that come off there. Like, they almost feel a little bit of left field if you're don't know going in what to expect. But again, there's so many points on here where they show the humor side of it just enough, and the music still carries on. Like, they amplified what they did on 39 Smooth. And like, when it goes on to stuff, I think it was, if I'm correct, it goes Android and No One Knows. Those two songs back to back. That's when I remember hearing that, go like, this is just such a fun thing to listen to. And I was young when this came out too. Like, I got Dookie first and then got Kerplunk.
Same.
Okay, yeah, so you get that too, yeah.
Yeah, the thing that is interesting about Kerplunk as well is I think Kerplunk is one of the only times that Green Day have been influenced by what is going on in rock music around them. Mm-hmm. So when you listen to Christy Road, and the middle bit of it that is Smells Like Teen Spirit, you can hear the bastions of Nirvana in that music in a way that I don't think you can from this moment on. When Dookie comes, that is just 100% undiluted Green Day. Yeah. But at this point in time, I think with them being still quite young and kind of figuring out their place, like personally in this world and as a band in this world, I think that this is one of the last times that Green Day would truly be influenced by what's going on around them musically.
Yeah, musically, yes. I totally agree with that 100%. And it's interesting to hear that too, because I think at that time frame, you had to have been influenced by all the music around you at that point. I mean, look at it. Looking at it now, we have all the music on our phone, no matter what we want. Back then, you had all the music on you on radio and MTV, but like, you got presented with every type of music as long as you sat down and watched it. You still had to seek it out. It kind of creates that dichotomy. It's like, back then, you really got so much music, but you had to search for it. But once you're there, you got everything you could ever want. Now, you have everything you could ever want in your pocket, and people are just kind of apathetic about it.
Yeah, I the thing that was fascinating about this point in time is because pop punk hadn't exploded and become a genre, and there wasn't like just, okay, now there's loads of pop punk bands. My experience was getting these records and looking back and going, right, okay, Lookout Records. So I'll check out the Groovy Ghoulies and I'll check out the Donners and bands that were around at that point in time. I think that was your voyage of discovery, but it made you feel like you were part of something cool. Yeah. Like, you know, again, I think this is quite relevant to where we go later. Yeah. Green Day at this point in time felt like they were at the hub of things that were really fucking cool and happening, and underground and punk, like truly punk rock at this point in time, like Accept No Substitutes.
Yes. And this was the best, like, most fun way to do it too, because there was so much punk before then, the generation before that, where punk was angry and bitter and fierce, as it should have been. This is the punk that made you happy to kick your heels at a show, totally mosh people high-fiving each other at the same time. It was like the new form of punk, but it was great, and Kerplunk really bottled that up, and that's what I like about that too. It was the next generation of happiness, even if not everything was happy, but still a happy part of it.
But there's a very Californian nature to that, right? Yeah. There's like a kind of almost sarcastic nihilism that comes with it. Like, it's really like, life shit, but anyway, like, I love that. And again, I think that's a real, something that only exists in Green Day up to a point. The lyrical narrative really shifts later on. Super interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that saying you described for California lifestyle, that fits a lot right now too in 2020.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, don't do it, man. Stick on Green Day.
I'm trying to stick on topic. Sorry, mine's everywhere right now, along with everyone else. Kerplunk, though, where would you match this one? Because again, not even close to bottom half by a long shot.
No.
I'm trying to think.
And
go ahead.
It gets tricky here.
Yeah.
Because Kerplunk is definitely better than Slappy Hours.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, better than 30 Months Movie by a long shot.
But there are some of the best albums ever made that are like literally any genre, anywhere. There are albums coming up that will take the Pepsi challenge with any fucking record. Yeah. And I'm not sure. Is Kerplunk one of those records?
No, I would not, because...
Have we oversold Slappy Hours early here?
No, I don't think so, because
all right.
You got to remember, the debut in 1990, I stand by that. That's a debut.
Good point. Good point.
Do it yourself, make your own album, put yourself out there. That's very different than other stuff. So that's why. I feel good with putting Kerplunk at silver also, even if it's for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you make sense. So,
relatively.
Yes,
I feel like it's a definite improvement.
Yes.
But to have that blueprint in the first place deserves its own reward. I think you make great points, Luke.
Yeah, and also with Kerplunk, they refined what they did from their debut, even if not perfect. And that's still progress. Yeah. And like with the tier listing, silver does not mean like they're all competing against each other either. You got to just do it this way, though, because you got to really figure out comparatively how to other albums come out for Green Day, because look at what Green Day's done. And then we jump up to 94, and this is where they become literally one of the biggest bands in the world. Within months, just within months. And that's all it took,
It's an interesting point in time, because like when you look at rock history, every scene until scenes seemed to stop in the mid 2000s was almost a counter reaction to the one that went before it. Hair metal was counteracted by fucking grunge and alternative rock, right? And when Kurt left this world, the world needed a different flavor on the radio. Yeah. The world needed a different feel and voice from where it had been in this kind of more bleak area. I think rock music had to get a face that was a little bit friendlier, and there was fucking Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise, She, Longview, fucking you count them, they still play them on the radio today. You know it.
You still hear Basket Case at supermarkets now. You hear it everywhere you go. Yeah. It's not even a joke. So before
K-Rock have never taken fucking Longview off rotation, my friend.
Well, yeah, why would they either? Why would you need to?
One medal with a masterpiece. You're right.
Exactly. Who's going to turn off Longview, no matter what station you're listening to? So
yeah, very true.
I never thought about it that way, but you're right. That's just how it is. Before we start talking about some of my favorite songs on here, I have to tell this super quick story. 9 years old, the album had already been out for a year. The song came on the radio. Family and I were driving home from dinner from like a restaurant. I don't remember where it was. On the highway, I started singing Basket Case word for word to my family. My mom was not happy.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. It's crazy. See, the thing is, I came to punk after metal. So, like, I had already got into Metallica and Marilyn Manson and Sepultura and Typo Negative and Slayer and Pantera, right? Yeah. This came after that for me. And what stands out about Green Day, and I've got to put this real front and center because this really becomes my bugbear later on, right? The guitar sound on this record, and especially on the next one, is fucking biblical, man. Yeah. Like, that is... It sounds like when you watch Billie Joe, if you watch old live footage of him at this time where he's got Blue, the guitar, and he rakes back on his strings when he's fucking strumming, right? That feels razor sharp and electric. And when you push play on this and you are hit with that fucking machine gun snare that opens into Burnout, right? Yeah. When those fucking guitars crash in, I'm all for pop punk. As long as there's punk in your pop punk, I am all for pop punk. And that, to me, is... I mean, it ain't perfection, because, spoiler, but perfection comes next. Yeah. This is just the perfect melding of being right for radio and punk fucking rock, undiluted.
This is the punk rock that is accessible to everyone and everyone understands it. From the second they heard it, you talk about Burnout just kicking right off. I love it when an album starts off kicking the door down. That's not every band can do that. Not every album can do that. Green Day knows how to do that, and this is one of those examples. And then at no point in Dookie do you have a 2-song lull, or you feel like, okay, skip this one, go to the next one. When you get to parts like Welcome to Paradise, you're in for the whole ride. You don't turn the whole thing off after something like that. So
And like I've got a real thing for the later part of the album. I feel the same about an Out Come the Wolves, right?
Yeah,
like some of its best songs is in the final furlong, and on this, I'm all for Coming Clean and Emmett Remus and all those songs. End, in the end, the pacing of it, like. Again, we'll get to my favourite sort of Green Day because it still hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
But when in the end picks the pace up, and it's not pacey in the way that skate punk is from the 90s, right?
No.
That has quite a beat. As far as the beat, it has a bit more in common with thrash metal. It's that
it's a bit too fast. Yeah.
Whereas this is. It's still fast and it's still pacey and it's still lively, but it's where it's still got its fucking black denim jackets and patches all over it, punk rock feel to it, despite being this kind of major label fucking, like they were riding the whole sellout thing at the time. But what is interesting is that a whole bunch of labels were trying to sign Green Day at this time. And the reason that they signed with Warner/Reprise is they met Rob Carvalho. And Rob Carvalho convinced them because he was a real music guy. And when they were getting the whole fucking like being taken out for the dinners and wined and dined and things like that, Carvalho connected with them because they were music fans. There's a real cool story about the night that they decided to sign with Reprise was they were talking to Carvalho and he had a guitar and Billy could throw any Beatles song at him and he could play it, and that was the night that they decided to sign with Reprise. So people look and see sellout, major label, big budget videos like VMAs, whatever, but the reason they ended there was purely because they believed in someone there that believed in music. And I think that speaks to who they are at the heart and at the core of who they are. Yeah,
that's very well said. I knew there was like that interesting jumping on, like next level point when they really signed major national label, putting on every other commercial you see on TV, hearing their stuff. I got the stupidest comparison, old South Park episode where they're doing the Guitar Hero bits. And they have the acoustic, it's like the thing's like, well, can he play Smoke on the Water acoustic? And he's just tapping with it. That's what that reminded me of at the dinner, like he's like kind of auditioning. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Carry on my wayward son. Yeah, I'm with you.
I love Dookie. It's one of my all-time favorite albums. I don't even know if I can really say it's their best album, but it's still one of my all-time favorites for all the personal connections, if that makes sense. You know, if you get what I'm saying with that.
It's unfuckwithable. Like the fact that pop punk owes a debt of gratitude forever. No matter what. Like any band that you like that has made money off of punk rock owe Green Day and the Offspring a beer. Simple as that. And for that reason alone, it's gold. Yes. Like I think it's.
No, I have gold. Yeah.
I'm going to throw it out there, Luke. I think it's the least gold of the gold albums that they've done.
Okay.
But gold nonetheless.
I can at least see the argument because I don't think it's their best album ever. So I do get your argument on that too. But I do see what you're saying. Yeah. So but again, there's no way I would have like understood Dookie not being gold though.
100%.
In my mind, that just doesn't add up. So
gotta be.
Dookie launched them into everyone's spotlight at that point. Quickly after, it was not long after Dookie that Insomniac came out. You already are in the spotlight trying to promote the songs you already have before you jump into Insomniac. So where do you go from Insomniac? I love it. I love this album to death.
I think that this album has a real claim to be the best punk album of all time.
Really?
I put this and Out Come the Wolves are my two favourite punk rock records of all time. Now, this album came out, it came out about a year after Dookie.
I have 94 and 95. It's like 18 months, 16 months, something like that, yeah.
It is a violent reaction, right?
Yeah.
This is a band that came from 924 Gilman Street, were kicked out of the place, were not allowed to go back there. I'd mentioned it earlier because it was formative. It's who they are. It was who they were. It was their identity.
The identity builder.
Because they had the the nerve, the gall to go over the top and take punk rock to the massives. That they were kicked out of Gilman Street, and Billie Joe went for a piss in the toilets and saw "Billie Joe must die" written on the fucking wall, right? And this album is a violent reaction to that. And it's fueled by fucking alcohol, and drugs are bad, kids, right? I'm not saying they are neither big nor clever, but they are very prevalent on this record. Yes. And if you hear this album, this is the most nitro-fueled, fucked up, fast, hard Green Day that there's ever been, but his vocal melodies are at their absolute zenith when it comes to poppy shit. There are songs all over this album, and I mean top to bottom, front to back, inside out. Every fucking song on this album rips. Yeah. And the way those first two songs rip out the speakers at you, Armitage Shanks into Brat, when you get the dugga 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 dun at the end of Armitage Shanks, and there is literally no stopping, no time between the CD or whatever wherever you listen to it. From that last note, it hasn't even rung out before you've got "Mum and Dad don't look so hot these days." It spits out of the speaker at you, man. This record is fucking perfection.
It does. My biggest argument for this album, for people that have had Dookie or had American Idiot, or as I just got older, like never gave Insomniac a chance, all they know is Brain Stew. My biggest thing was, there's so much more than Brain Stew on this album. So much more. And Brain Stew is like not an outlier, but there's so much more energy and fire in this than what Brain Stew does. And Brain Stew is great for what it is, but still, that's just like the little tip of the iceberg. That's a big, huge chunk of iceberg underbelly that you really have to check out. You have to.
And it's not representative of the record.
It's not.
Because Brain Stew is like, it's a 4/4 beat and it's slower. Yeah. Whereas like this album is the sound of meth and cider. Like it's at you. It's ready to rip your throat out. And the lyrics are so angry.
They're bitter. But
you have to really dig to get that, because it's so joyful as a listen. No Pride and fucking Stuart and the Avenue and Westbound Sign and like. Seriously, Luke, I'm not even kidding when I say I could talk about this album for about 3 hours.
It's just like
flawless.
I get it, yeah. And 80s, like when you get to 86 and stuff like that, and Panic Song, that was the other one. I keep forgetting. Like, I always forget the order sometimes when I think of so many albums at the same time. You get so much more if you play this one from beginning to end. Dookie, you can skip around if you want. You can get away with that. This is one you have to play front to back to really soak in all that anger-fueled edgery. This is the car chase album. This is where if you actually are getting chased by the cops at one point, this is the one you want to play if you got a chance of getting away. A chance. Your
car will somehow find an extra 10 miles per hour when you're playing this. I want to give a
Go ahead.
And can I give a shout out to Mike Dirnt as well on this record? Because Billy's chords are so... What's genius about Billy is he can write the same chord structure 4 times, make 4 different songs with his ability with vocals, and that is, and you barely notice, right? They're like fucking walking contradiction on this is that riff is used about 4 or 5 times across Green Day's entire career, but you'd never notice it. Mike Dirnt has this amazing ability of filling the gap. So where the power chords are just big and bold, like there's this dancing capability to what Mike Dirnt does. Like at the end of a 4-bar phrase, he will do these amazing fills. And when he does this, when he does that anyway, it's impressive, right? Yeah. When he does it at breakneck pace on this record, and there is a bass solo in the middle of Stuck With Me that is just fucking unbelievable. Shout out Mike Dirnt.
I'm a bass player. I'm an intermediate bass player.
Same.
I will never be at that level. I could practice every day for the rest of my life. That's just top tier stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite Green Day record and arguably my favorite punk rock record ever.
Honorable choice too. I mean, I don't think anyone could really debate that for like saying like, no, you shouldn't think like, what are you talking about? No.
I dare ya.
Yeah. So then we jump up 2 years later to Nimrod. And this is where, like, not so much all the anger is dissipated, but you can tell change is coming slightly. Just you're starting to see, like, the progression just a touch. And this is where their music starts becoming not infamous, but just known for other things than the furious, angry punk rock or upbeat, optimistic punk rock. When you have your song playing in the final episode of Seinfeld with Time of Your Life, not only have you made it, but like you're accessing everyone, not even music fans at that point.
Yeah, I think that Nimrod is kind of a reaction to what happened on Insomniac. Mm-hmm. I love it, you love it, but it's one of those albums that the outside world see as something of a flop, right? And the world were not shy in letting Green Day know about that. It sold fuck all copies next to what Dookie sold.
Compared to Dookie, but still,
Yeah, and it felt like after being denounced by punk and then denounced by the mainstream, to me, what Nimrod represents is creative freedom. Mm-hmm. This is, I mean, they try their hands at being eclectic further on down the line.
Yes.
But to me, this is the best representative of an eclectic Green Day record because you have everything from Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, and that weird fucking surf rock instrumental that's in it as well. Tide Rides In or Last Ride In or something like that it's called. And on the flip side, you've got fucking Take Back and those faster songs. But you've got King for a Day, where they are fucking experimenting with these massive horn sections. And when you see Green Day live, like, they do Lulu shout in the middle of that song, which is not something you could have done to anything before it. And so while you've still got straight up 4/4 brilliant Green Day music all over it, fucking Nice Guys Finish Last,
Redundant,
we'll get to Redundant. The Grouch and Scattered. My God, my teenage band used to cover Scattered because it's awesome. Brilliant. But I think Redundant is one of the best songs that Billy's ever written. Yeah. It's magic, that song, especially if you've never seen it, anyone out there. There is an MTV Dollar concert or something like that where the lights and the power went out. And Billy got the guitar back and the mic back, so just did Redundant on his own. And Dave Lee Roth says this thing that all the best songs can be played by just a guy on him, a guitar and a spotlight. And if that performance of that song doesn't make that point loud and clear, I don't know what does.
I will check that out because I have not seen that one.
It's fucking wonderful.
That's awesome. I remember that was like the first time I saw a music video for Redundant, actually doing like the looped images over and over again, and they keep adding to it. I just remember being entranced with something like that. That's the memory I have with MTV back then. Because again, this was before TRL back in the day on MTV. This was when music videos were every hour on the hour. You saw everything. And that's how I saw that one, too. And same thing with other Green Day stuff, too. They were still playing Basket Case music video and then leading to a new song. They kind of did that thing back when we were younger. I wish Nimrod was remembered more for what, like, they accomplished with it. Because your way of saying, like, they stripped away any, like, defining labels. They had creative freedom. This was unabashedly them just doing whatever they wanted. After a pretty intense 2 or 3 years, I mean, you go from Dookie you're having your song played every second of the day everywhere you are, and then to Insomniac, right after. And that's a lot to take in. And yeah, I get that Nimrod was not nearly as successful, but it was necessary for him.
Yeah, it's also very odd in terms of its first single, right? Like to lead with Hitching a Ride, right? This kind of Stray Cat style strutting song with the video for it is really kind of, while it's still big budget and it fits that bill, it's got this almost like vaudevillian style feel to it. It's really fucking odd, right? And I think when you set out and you look like you're doing something odd, that's straight away not going to be for everyone, right? The word alternative, when it's truly applied, is because it is an alternative to what most people like.
Right.
And I feel like Nimrod is the alternative Green Day of the night album of the 90s.
Yeah. Of all the 90s albums, and there are many, yeah, that is a good way to put it. It's like the one out on the side, and that does not make it bad by any means either. No, it doesn't.
Mate, there's bangers all over this, and really underrated songs as well. Jinx, Haushinka, like there's so many fucking brilliant songs, top to bottom, man.
Yeah.
Like, if there are bands, like Water Parks can be a band for the next 15 years and they will never write a song as good as The Grouch, a song that virtually never gets fucking played.
No.
Like, sorry, Water Parks fans, I don't make the rules. They write the songs. Blame them.
I think even some members of Water Parks would probably even agree with that.
Yeah,
so.
I bet they fucking would. Yeah.
Come on. Okay, so this is a harder one for me though, because up till this point, we've been pretty easily understanding like where we can assign albums. I don't know where to put Nimrod specifically. Would I put it as gold? Me personally, I don't know. Would I put it as silver myself? Yes. Because there is enough to qualify for silver. That's where I am, at least.
Now, my argument, my counter argument to that is, what are the bad songs on Nimrod? What are the not good songs on Nimrod?
And it's not so much that there are bad songs at all, but there are songs on this one where I do look at them and go, okay, it doesn't really catch me as much as the previous two or what would come later.
Name them, Luke Rocked. Name and shame. What are the bad songs on Nimrod, my friend?
I sometimes don't care for Reject.
No, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, this has been a good episode. Thanks, guys. Reject was the only one I get like why people would like it. And then again, the other one, it's a staple of mainstream pop culture. How many times have I listened to Time of Your Life, Good Riddance?
I prefer both Redundant on this album and Macy's Day Parade on the next one. Okay, so
that's fair.
I might not be the person to ask here, but I will level with you and say I think that if you gave me the opportunity to see Green Day albums in full, if they were playing all of the albums and I could only get tickets for two of them, I would pick Insomniac and Nimrod.
Really? That's interesting.
I'll tell you why, right? Because you can always be guaranteed to see a bunch of songs from Dookie, right? With this album, like I could watch them play this album, and I'm shit with lyrics, Luke, right? How you can tell how much I like a band is if I can get the melody right and mouth the right kind of words. Right. But if I actually know the lyrics, that's how much I like an album. And I think I could sing you every word on this album. It's your show, and I'm happy to go with silver. Okay. But I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm sure would give it. Fair enough. I'm sure we'll compromise on other stuff, though, just to be clear. And
of course.
Yeah. What was the other
one?
Go
for silver, man.
I'll go for silver. What was the other one? Not Platypus, I Hate You. What was after Platypus, I Hate You? That was it, because I'm dropping the name because that's the song I did like. It was the one after that. Not Uptight.
Hold on. Well, I love Uptight. Uptight. I'm a nag with a gun. Yeah.
Okay, maybe that was the other one. I'm like, okay. All right.
Again, that's an acquired taste. Okay. Because I put that. I remember putting that one in the car and someone saying to me, "Really? Of all the Green Day songs?" I accept that the way that I look at a Green Day's back catalogue is not necessarily the way everyone else does.
Fair enough. And still, this is not a negative look at anything on here either.
Yeah, and shout out the use of harmonica on this on Walking Alone as well.
Yeah, there you go. They weren't afraid to try a little bit of new stuff with instrument inclusions that many bands are terrified of doing. Terrified.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
So then we come up to the year 2000. And we're celebrating, because I know it came out on October 3rd, 2000, because that's my birthday. I remember that specifically.
Lovely stuff.
I know. So 20 years ago, this Saturday was Warning. And I remember hearing Minority and being blown away. That song still grabs me. I lose it when I hear that song. I'm back whenever I was, I think it was 12 or 13. I think it was 13. And I still lose it to Minority. That's like one of my shameless songs that I love from Green Day. I wish they would play that one more live.
I have so much love for Warning because I feel like you have to do Warning to get to the next record.
You do, yes.
I think that, again, like, once the machine has chewed you up and spit and spat you out, you get to a stage where you just want to please yourself. And I feel like this is the beginning of where Billy goes next in his life, because when you listen to the influences on this record, it's, to me, it's more stuff like Elvis Costello. Like when you hear Church on Sunday, like there's so much Oliver's Army in that. Like I feel like Billy went to a different place and was embracing more things like, I mean, there's even a slight feel of rockabilly that's extended and a bit more menacing than it is on Hitching a Ride. On Blood, Sex and Booze.
Blood, Sex and Booze is the other one that always sticks out for me too. I mean, when you hear that and like compare it to stuff on Dookie or even Kerplunk, you're like, wow, this is the same band, but you can tell this is way different. This is like a totally different personality at this point.
Yeah, it's a really odd album as well. Like when the saxophone solo comes in on Jackass and things like that. I think that it's a mood album as well, though. Like, this is a real, like, it has a specific sound that you would have to be looking for. Like, a more organic, a more, like, at this point in time, like, sorry if I seem too British here, but back home in the UK, there was a band called The Levellers that was also doing this kind of gypsy punk thing that you can feel a lot on here. And I'm not just talking about Misery, which is one of the first times that Green Day go into the regrettable category that we're going to see a lot more in the next sort of half hour or so.
I mean, this one felt like the end of this Green Day generation. Like, there's like distinct Green Day generations in time. This one felt like the very last one of that 90s generation, even though it came out in 2000. I mean, I love a song like Minority. The title track, which was also a single, Warning, I didn't really care for. And that's just me.
Yeah, I think that it's an odd... I like Warning, but I think it's an odd choice for a single. Yeah. But you haven't picked the best of the bunch of the singles, which is Waiting.
Yeah, Waiting.
It's just like... It's one of those songs that when I talk about Billy's extreme ability to be able to have the most basic musical canvas and to turn it into magic with his vocal melodies, and especially when those vocal melodies are combined with words that you don't just hear, you feel, right? There is a real authentic longing in that song that just burns through him. And I feel like, to further your point, like, I take your point. I agree that there are definitely two distinct eras of Green Day. Where the only point that I disagree on there is I think Warning is this weird point that is the crack in between them.
So you think this is the bridge? This is the actual bridge part of it?
I think there's your pop punk era Green Day, which is up to Nimrod. You've got your 21st century, true 21st century Green Day, from America and Idiot onwards, but Warning is like the ugly stepchild, right? Yeah. Like I love Warning.
It's not ugly either. It's that awesome stepchild that you look out to.
Yeah, that's it. Well, let me rephrase it. It's the sort of fucking thing. It was like being me in my family, right? Yeah, you can be cool as shit.
You are the Warning of your family.
But you're still different to everyone else.
Yes, you are.
Right? That's Warning's place in Green Day's back catalogue to me.
Yeah, I get that. And to add on to that, this is like, it might be a little bit of an outlier, a little bit. You would never deny this is not a Green Day album.
I mean, it was such a weird period in time because
2000, I mean, no one else was doing Green Day style at 2000 anymore. And plus, if you weren't nu metal, if you weren't post grunge, you were not getting all the attention.
And also, when you look at 98 was Enema of the State, right? And it doesn't get spoken about much, but Green Day have real contempt for Blink-182.
I've heard bits about that, but I don't know.
Well, when they did the Pop Disaster tour, like Billy was not backwards in coming forwards in the press about the fact that we are eating them alive every single night, and then Blink-182 split up a little while afterwards. Anyway, when Enema of the State happened, when corporate America got their hands on Dookie and turned it into Enema of the State, which I love. I love Enema of the State. I'm not knocking it, but Enema of the State, from its sound, its production, and especially its music videos, was an active, we can make money out of punk rock, which is fine, because before Dookie, you couldn't, right? That's just a byproduct of it. But because that happened, and when you look at what I guess is considered the golden age of pop punk around the turn of the millennium, so when you had that, Newfound Glory, and Sum 41, and Good Charlotte, and fucking the Ataris, and Alkaline Trio, and fucking all of the bands, all of those classic bands that take up that time, Green Day didn't want to be like fucking any of them, and that's why they made an album like this.
I think that's awesome to, like, I'm glad you had, like, add that a little bit on there, like, for the meaning of it. And I love it. I have personal connections to Warning. On, like, my paper that I wrote down, I have question marks, because I do love it. I don't know where to put this one, though. Because this one is difficult, so, yeah.
If I would put it in bronze because it's patchy. Right, like I like songs like Fashion Victim, and I mentioned Church on Sunday earlier, which I really like, and Castaway. But there are, I mean, Misery's one of the worst songs that they've ever written. There's some really I
talked about before. The title track was one of the weakest singles of Green Day's career, just because of what it was. It was so hollow. It just wasn't anything, especially after coming after Minority, which was such a house of fire. I don't know. But that does not really speak to the whole album. Even I know that. I mean, Waiting is still a classic at this point, too. So. Yeah,
and Macy's Day Parade and all the rest of it. But so I think we're on safe grounds to put this in bronze, because
I would agree with you.
It's not as good as the 3 albums that we've got in silver, as much as I like it.
Yeah. I could see. No, I totally get your logic. I get that one.
In Green Day's back catalogue, it's bronze. If we were putting it just in general, I would say silver. But
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Where we are in this back catalogue, bronze fits for me.
When compared with Green Day also within themselves, yeah, I think bronze is fair. Now we get to the beast. Now we get to the album that thrusted Green Day back into the spotlight for a whole new generation. And American Idiot was the next evolution of Billie and the whole band. And boy, oh boy, did everyone bite in. Everyone just latched onto that hook and didn't let go.
Do you remember the first time you heard American Idiot, the song itself?
The song itself? Yeah, I remember hearing it on the radio when I was like on the bus, I think.
Because America's a bit cooler than Britain, you didn't hear it on the radio until a couple of weeks after. But this is no look, I am a nerd. Yeah. Like when I went and downloaded it on fucking LimeWire or BearShare or fucking whatever it was when it debuted.
I had Kazaa, so yeah, I got it. Yeah,
every one of them, right? So I downloaded it when it dropped, and I must have played it for an hour. Like, I think it's because it's been played a billion times over. I think it's one of those songs, it's easy to forget just how special it is. Like, if you are talking about the best pop punk songs ever written, like, you are a total poser if you are not including American Idiot, right? It's flawless.
Yeah. The best way to compare this, American Idiot is played
and nowhere close enough to be nowhere near close to being the best song on the record either.
No, not at all. But it is the perfect Green Day like synapse. Like, you hear the first couple bars, not even the riff, you know Green Day, you know American Idiot. This song is played in the background of Lifetime original movies now. It's played for CW dramas. It's played for commercials just for ESPN. It doesn't matter what medium you are. American Idiot fits in the background for how strong the music, the beat is, just everything about it.
Yeah, I think as well, like, I think it becomes easy to be sneery when it's like Bush is bad, right? But Green Day had so much fucking attitude at this point in time. Again, I know I use the word punk a lot here, but
this is the spirit of punk, yeah.
It's like fucking when you make it your entire voice, when you have written an album as I refuse to believe that Green Day didn't know that they had something special once they were done with American Idiot, right?
It had Good.
To make the point of the whole record to be political and to be out there and to know that there could be a whole bunch of like, oh, the band that wrote about wanking on Longview are suddenly political.
Gonna talk about the president, are they? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, and they knew that kind of attitude would be out there, and they did not give a single solitary fuck about it. And that's a beautiful thing, man. Like, and that's courageous. And that's fucking, that's Springsteen, that's Billy Bragg. At that
time too, that was real dangerous too. I mean, a couple years before that, the Dixie Chicks were slaughtered for like speaking up against that. Green Day did it, and they had a little bit of the attitude, but everyone jumped on board real quick after the album finally dropped. When people started listening to Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams, everyone was always forgiven. Say whatever you want. Yep.
But Billy was on the fucking radio and uncensored saying Sieg Heil to the President Gasman.
Yep.
Right? Like, I know it's easy to forget because it's catchy and all the rest of it, but take that in for a second. Yeah. That is as subtle as a brick to the nose.
It's
right?
Very upfront.
And when you are aimed with Good Riddance and Macy's Day Parade and you've dipped your toes in that water, when the fucking caterpillar becomes the butterfly on Wake Me Up When September Ends and Boulevard of Broken Dreams, like, these songs are outside of the walls of punk. I think this is the record where they start to blur the lines, right? But that doesn't matter when you are writing songs that are timeless. And I mean that. Yeah. Tell me that Wake Me Up When September Ends, if it was a new single by a new band, came on the radio today, wouldn't be every bit as big. That's timeless.
Yeah, I agree.
That's lightning in a bottle. That's shit that, like, but even a band as special as Green Day only get this moment once.
Right.
And like, I think it's very easy to, if you are of a certain mind, to, when you look at Green Day's two ironclad, like the two ones that everyone will define this band by, Dookie and American Idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I love Dookie, and I like that style of Green Day far more than I like American Idiot and where that style evolved to. But this is their achievement. Yeah. This is Billie Joe's landmark achievement as a songwriter. And this is why when Green Day go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and there's some of the Rolling Stones over there, and Metallica are over there, and Led Zeppelin's over there, Green Day can hang because they got this.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I talked about generations before, like the different separate generations of Green Day. How many bands that are amazing, and we could even talk about Hall of Fame worthy bands, don't have that distinct generational difference and made both of them work to the point
it's a great point.
Multi-million selling albums across many different countries. And they're both brilliant. And it doesn't work that way. Green Day knows why they're so successful. This is the reason why Green Day's prosperity it continued for so long, and still people cherish this album. And I would say this album is cherished more than Dookie by the main public.
I would agree. Totally, man. Yeah. Like, totally, man. Like, we went to a show at Brixton Academy that they did just before they headlined the Reading Festival, right? And the rumor was that they were going to play Dookie in full in the middle of it, and that rumor was completely true. And at least 65% of the audience could not give one shit. But when they were playing "Wake Me Up When September Ends,"
that's
fucking
okay.
Mass sing along all round. Like, it's a broken world, everybody. I don't make the rules. I'd have kicked everyone out when they didn't know the words, so having a blast. But it furthers your point. And again, to go back to what I was saying about Warning as well, right? This is just post it, all killer, no filler, and fucking this is the anthem, throw all your hands up. Billy went, fuck that, 8-minute song. Do that yourself, pricks. Yep. Like, it is like, this is a competitive band, man. And that's a gauntlet being thrown down. Like, when you hear that and Let Bomb and all those moments, like, it's Jesus of Suburbia is beyond the capability of arguably everybody else that has been in and around punk rock. The Decline by NOFX. Shout out Fat Mike and all the things that he does on that front. Yeah. He's a guy that can do that shit. But you don't get many of them to the pound, is what I'm saying.
Exactly. And even when you get to like songs like Governator, which was a big topical thing back in the day too, you still can't find any like music that matches at that point either. And that's probably the most of its time dated thing on the album, and it still works great. It's great.
It's one of those albums where you can feel the excitement of the people making it. They knew they were just not stepping outside of their box. They knew they were leaping outside of their box. And when there is that Starry Night Stargazers in my head in Are We the Waiting, right? And that song really spreads its wings. It feels so jubilant. Like, it feels so confident. And when you have that level of confidence and something new and something of that quality, like the first time of listening to American Idiot is something that is burned into my mind's eye forever, just because it was purely like, I love this band and I thought I knew everything that this band could do, and I didn't know shit, right? Amazing.
We could probably talk a lot more about American Idiot and repeat the points that many other people have made. At the same time, we all know where this is going.
Yes, put it in gold. Go on, Gazer. Come on now. Come on now. Yeah, spot on.
Can you imagine how badly we would get slaughtered in the comments if we didn't put it in gold?
I mean, rightfully so as well.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, we'd earn it. We'd earn it. I'm just saying.
Let's just be a bit more like, well, you know, She's a Rebel's a bit basic, and I love She's a Rebel. Don't hate me.
No, I get what you were saying.
Yeah.
Unsubscribe, unfollow, unlike, uncomment.
Yeah.
American Idiot carried them for a long time before they had another studio release, too. I don't think that's what I found. I thought 21st Century Breakdown came out earlier than it did. That was 2009. And that was news to me. My mindset, like, for history of all that was a little bit off on that point, because I just remembered American Idiot was the dominating album. That was the thing. Yeah.
That's a lot of world tours, man.
Yeah. And it works, too. Look how much they got out of it. So,
damn straight.
Yeah, 21st Century Breakdown, how do you live up to American Idiot? And that's where the biggest difficulty, the biggest stumbling block for 21st Century Breakdown came. And I think that's a shame.
It's a lot of bands do that. Like, when they go over the top, the next record, like, there's an expectation from a mainstream perspective that that's what the band should do again. But more often than not, a band that have gone over the top and sold that many records are artists who will do what the fuck they want. So when you get Blood Sugar Sex Magic, everyone's like, yeah, where's the next Under the Bridge? And they're like, yeah, one hot minute. And like Metallica, right? Yeah, we want loads of fucking more Enter Sandmans.
Oh, we'll give you a load, all right.
Yeah, fair for the first single from the next record, Until It Sleeps, right? That's artists. And this is a very awkward record to talk about, I think.
When you get to was Know Your Enemy the first single off the album?
It was, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. When I remember hearing that one, because like the very difference, because like you said you remember, it's etched in your brain the first time you heard American Idiot. I remember the first time. I also remember 21st Century Breakdown and hearing Know Your Enemy, because again, like that was dropped just a little bit before the album when I heard it. And I'm thinking, okay, it's fine. Like it.
Green Day records sound like shit from this record on. I'm throwing that out there right now. I don't think they sound bad. I think they sound like utter garbage from this moment out. Everything I was saying earlier about the guitar tone and all the rest of it is stripped dead. Away. Right? So I was working in the business at this point in time, right? I was working for Metal Hammer magazine.
Yeah.
We didn't get sent the record because we're fucking Metal Hammer, right?
Metal Hammer's great, by the way. So.
Oh yeah. Shout out Metal Hammer. But Classic Rock magazine next door, they got sent the Green Day record and brought it straight round to me, right?
Good.
And the guy who brought it round said, here's the new Green Day record. It sounds like Julian Lennon wanking into a hanky. And I have never been able to shake that sentence because 21st Century Breakdown kind of sounds a bit like that, kind of sounds like a band who took it all a bit seriously on the experimental front and all the rest of it. And American Idiot worked because it's still fueled with an fucking punk attitude. And where you hear Know Your Enemy, it feels sanitized next to every Green Day single that comes before it.
This other song, it was West Jesus Nowhere, East Jesus Nowhere. When I heard that song, I'm thinking, what happened? That was the. It's not all bad. It's not a trash album. I don't think it's trash. That's just me though. The trash comes later. So
I think it's bad.
Yes.
I think it's a bad album with some good songs on it. Right? When it gets going, just let me get, because this is where I have to start looking at track listings.
No,
right?
that's fine. Why don't I do that? Why don't I do that too? Because I have my phone right here.
The Static Age is a really good song, right? It still has that, what I'm talking about. Murder City has that as well.
Viva La Gloria, I remember just being like, they tried for that little anthem style and it didn't hit. It just didn't.
Yeah, the piano side of things is not for everyone, and it's not for Green Day. Yeah. And I think that I think 21st Century Breakdown, the song itself, is all right, but that is all I've got for you. I think 21 Guns, this is where I start to get a bit offended. And I know that I know that's extreme, but I love these bands for all of the love that you've heard in the first bit of it. It's why I feel so affronted. Actually slighted by where Green Day go from this moment on. I understand that this is Billy's next evolution as a human, as a songwriter. Like, he's gone from wanting to be Joe Strummer and Brett Gurevitz to wanting to be Tom Petty. Right?
Big comparison,
I understand that. But my God, it was better being that than it was being this. And I also question if the guitar didn't sound like fucking the most weak piss shit ever, I wonder if this could be a better album. I feel like if the guitars, just listen to the guitar tone on this record and everything that's come before it, and I stand by it. Green Day's guitar sound is dog shit from this moment on.
And just for a final question on this one before we go to the next for 21st Century, do you think that guitar tone, that was so iconic for 90s Green Day specifically, do you think it's missing at this point on forward because Billy's writing, he doesn't want to do that style, or do you think it's because new production, new design, new mixing, it's just a product of the system?
Well, the cynic in me, and this is really horrible, so bear with me. The cynic in me goes, well, their record producer is also an A&R at a label, right? So he has commercial interests in mind while making art. Yeah. And those two things should not go hand in hand.
Especially
just my view. Jerry Finn was not on the fucking board at Warner, right? Yeah. And I think that is a massive factor in what I don't like about Green Day from this moment on. Especially, I start to get furious about it when in the next, certainly on the next album, the
next series of albums, the big
when there's good songs that are betrayed by the production. I just think that Green Day's sonic sound from this moment on is weak.
Okay, that's a very fair point. When you said 21st Century Breakdown, good songs on a bad album, and the numbers do not match up the way they should for Green Day, it's hard to figure out where to put this one, because this is not in the top half, not in my mind. Is it the worst thing Green Day's done? No.
Nope.
Not even close.
Mate, it looks like fucking Ixnay Hombre next to Where We're Going.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. Man, oh man. I'm just trying to think. 21st Century Breakdown. Would I put it even bronze? No.
Not for me, brother.
Yeah, so it's aluminum or trash?
Well, I think to call it trash,
comparatively...
That's because Where We're Going. Again, much in the same way with Nimrod.
Yes.
Just because of Where We're Going, there is worse on the way. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to get really fucking miserable.
I think Aluminum is fair for all the logic we pointed out. It's not the worst thing ever by a long shot. And like, again, Green Day has moments on there. Then 2012 comes, and Green Day had the worst year they could have possibly imagined for many, many, many reasons. Where do okay, we'll start with Uno. I was going to say, where do we start? We need to start with Uno. We need to go in the proper order. But first of all, Green Day had the brilliant idea to release 3 albums in a year. And they started with this. This was their first step. This was the introduction.
When you've got a songwriter as prolific as Billie Joe Armstrong, right? A triple album doesn't necessarily sound too bad, right? I can tell you a really good story about this.
Okay.
So at the point in time that this came out, I was running Scuzz TV in the UK, and I was hosting on national television, right? So I was invited by Warner to this party where they were going to play us a sample of songs from across the triple album,
okay,
right? So I was excited, you know, despite 21st Century Breakdown, that's one album I didn't care for out of fucking, 8? So, come on now.
Yeah, 1 out of 8, so... yeah,
not a bad average. So it's still time to get excited. And I was all right with the first couple of songs that they played us.
Okay.
But then they started going into Bizarro land. And when I say about the guitar tone, it's because Nuclear Family, Stay the Night, Let Yourself Go.
Kill the DJ was after that. Kill the DJ.
Those 3 songs I think are fucking great. They just sound bad because welcome to Green Day's production job these days, right?
Yeah.
But it's, you're right, man. When we get to Kill the DJ and Oh Love, like...
It's right in the heart. What in the world? And I think the reason why, just to jump back before we go to some of these songs and how bad Kill the DJ is, I think like the prolificity of a Billy writing 3 albums in a year, I know that's possible, but look at the right before then, 5 years between American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown, and then the next step he goes, okay, you know what? That was too long. 3 albums. 1 year. Let's do it.
But man, I think that, like, on a serious level for a second, Billy struggled.
Yeah, this was the year also. In 2012. This was also the year of that iHeartRadio meltdown, and like all his personal stuff just came to a head too. And that's unfair to blame that like all on him or anything. That's not what we're going for. It's the albums.
No. Yeah, like what the point with that was I don't think Billy was of sound mind at this time, right? And I think that Billy is an honest artist, right? It's like fucking, I don't particularly care for his music these days, right? But he fucking means it with every fibre of his being, and I've always got nothing but the utmost respect for Billie Joe Armstrong.
Yeah.
But this is an honest man whose mental state is not there, doing stuff that's fucking weird as shit. So when you hear hear stuff like Fuck Time later on, I know I said it earlier on, but there's some real stuff here that, you know, it sounds like a band with too much control, because I can't believe that people at the label didn't hear this and go, lads, do we really think that this is 3 albums? Do we really think we've got enough material for 3 albums here? Like, can we do 3 EPs instead and then package them as an album?
Right.
Like, can we do something like that if we want to keep the idea, right? But because Green Day are bigger than Jesus and they make all of the money, you know, there are no questions asked. Do what you had. We'll do what you want. We'll count the zeros.
Yeah, and Uno Dos Tres did not make all of the money, unfortunately.
No, fair point. Well, that's it, because people will not just buy any old shit because it's got Green Day's name
exactly, and this proved it too. This was the year that proved it, because once you heard Uno, there's 2 more albums of this. No.
And the thing is, right, in there, like, I love Nuclear Family, and on Tré, I think 99 Revolutions.
That was the one Tré had a song. Yeah, Tré was the surprise one because it did step it up a little. We're bouncing around all over, I know, but at the same time, that's how Uno Dos Tré is. It's just all over the place.
Well, They were written in one session, so it's like while they are 3 separate releases, they're impossible. Like it's not like they had. Do you hear a theme on these 3 records?
There's no flow in individual albums or pushed together. There's no flow. There's no transition for the feel or groove of everything. It's just a mishmash of whatever the heck they wanted. And
it's 3 3 of the same style, right? Like, it's not like, here's the punk one, here's the weird one, here's this one. It's just 3 albums of the same. So sorry for bouncing around, but
I know, but it's
3 records that are the same degree of bobbins, as we say in the UK.
There was the other ones. I'm trying to remember. Was it Angel Blue? That was one of them that was on Uno. I do remember that. And I remember thinking, that was my facepalm moment. I'm going, I'm not done with Green Day, but I don't know how I'm going to make it through 2012, checking this stuff out.
I wasn't done with Green Day at this point either.
I wasn't done, but man, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be rough, but I'm not done, but oh man. I think Uno goes in the trash.
Luke, please rank them so we have to stop talking about them.
I agree. This will get easier because we already started talking a little bit about the other 2 as well, so we could breeze past these. Uno is in the trash. Dose came next. Boy, oh boy.
Trash!
Boy, oh boy. Did Dose really slap me across the face going, hey, because I remember thinking in the middle of 2012, hey, it has to be better than Uno, right? Yeah. No.
I would be lying if I said I can talk without ignorance on the other records, right?
Yeah.
But Doz and Tré I have listened to once ever. I would not lie about it or embellish it just to kind of make my point. I would never of sound mind choose to go and listen to those records again.
Yeah.
Like that, you know.
I know. When I heard Nightlife, man, that was the head desk moment. So, it's in the trash already. I think anyone watching and clicking on this video pretty much could have guessed that one pretty easily.
I mean, I would hope so. Do you know what? Commenters out there, if there is arguments for Doz and Tré, put them down there, man.
No,
I'm keen to hear. Yeah. If you like it, I want to hear what you're hearing. Because to me, this is like Green Day should have been put down at this point.
And I do remember hearing X-Kid on Tré thinking Tré might be the best, in my opinion, of the trilogy. That does not make it good.
Yeah, I would have Uno as the one just because there's that spate of good songs and the bad sound.
Yeah,
but that ain't enough to save. That ain't enough to save it. And again, it's just about, would Uno be at the bottom rung of the ladder if we were just judging it by
if it was in
everyone's standards? No, but not far off. Yeah. Not far off. But when we're putting it next to fucking the Bronze album is Warning, right? If that's the standard, in the trash you go, I'm afraid.
Yep, I agree. I mean, it's not even really up for debate at that point either. Comparing it to 21st Century Breakdown, you at least understand 21st Century Breakdown.
Yeah, I think that it had a more solidified concept and feel and sound, whereas this just felt like a random collection of songs spread out over 3 albums with zero quality control.
I think if they did your EP idea or they did the big idea where you take 3 songs from each album, call the whole album Uno Dos Tré, 9 songs, how much headaches would that have saved? How much more great face would they have saved too? I don't know. So... But as it stands, the trash trilogy really is fitting. So then there is some definite time off for Green Day in that sense, needed for many reasons. Jump forward to 2016 to Revolution Radio. I think Revolution Radio sounded amazing after the trilogy.
Revolution Radio is my least favorite.
Really? Over the Uno, Dos, and Tré? Really? Okay, so what is it about Revolution Radio that you just think is unsalvageable?
Green Day sound old and bloated.
To be fair, they are.
I'm sorry, man, but hearing Outlaws bummed me out so hard. Hearing this we're older song, right? Coming out at a lurching pace. I just think that even bad records that we just discussed, right? There's at least some life and some energy. This feels like it is uninspired. It feels like Billie doesn't even want to be there. I would argue that that's why we've had the long shot and an album as radically different as afterwards. This sounds like everything that I said about authenticity and like you still believe Billie. Okay. This album sounds like he would rather be anywhere else creatively, in my opinion. Okay. I think the whole thing is so lethargic. It's so bloated is the word that I keep coming back to. Yeah. Because
I there is filler on this album. That I will totally agree with you on that.
I just mean the sound of it, Luke. I mean, tone? Literally, the sound of the record is so bloated and still breathing and things like that. It's so faux anthemic. It's trying to make you feel, right? And every bit of music should try to make you feel, but if the band ain't feeling it themselves, and I genuinely believe that, just my opinion. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't think the band believe it. So when those louder now comes in and everything comes in behind him, it doesn't sound like it's delivered with, even going back as far as 21st Century Breakdown. Do you know your enemy? Yeah. It still sounds like he's got something to say and he's outwardly pushing it, right? Whereas this is the only album that I feel truly betrays who this band are. Okay.
That's interesting. Like, I get the point. I totally get the point you're making. When you say, like, the script, it's much more lethargic. It's much, for me, when I first heard this, it did feel like a much more grizzled and focused Green Day. The energy is different.
Yeah, it's definitely more focused.
Yeah, it's a much more different focus of energy from Green Day. It is not the wild... Which one did we say was the speed chase? Wasn't it not Nimrod? It was Insomniac. It's
Insomniac. Yeah.
If you're ever getting chased by a cop, that's the album you put on. If you're really after a long day, this is the album I would put for that. If you just have to play a Green Day album and you do not want to wake up, you do not want to get up, you just want to sit down and listen to something from Green Day.
If the cops are chasing you and you're playing Bang Bang, you are going to be over a bonnet before you know what's hit you.
To be fair,
it's just. I tell you, man. So at that whiskey show, right? Green Day, fucking Green Day at the whiskey, right? Madness. Yeah. And they play Brain Stew. And I'm like, and my friend who I'm meeting in a minute, right? I'm stood there with her going, oh my God, right? And Brain Stew does not transition into Jaded. No. Brain Stew transitioned into Bang Bang, and my heart went broken, mate. I have never felt so. We were right at the front, second row, and I went, I'm going to the bar, man. I can't do this. I can't let this band break my heart anymore.
That is a set list faux pas to not transition the songs properly. Interesting. So I remember Youngblood was the big song I remember hearing first off this album, because I didn't hear this one before it came out. Like, I didn't hear singles before it came out. I heard it like that week it came out. Youngblood and Bang Bang, because Bang Bang was the big song from the album. And this was still, we're riding that high. I just feel this one's more focused. You think it's trash. You think it's the worst thing they've done.
I think it's comfortably the worst thing they've done.
Okay. I don't
if I can survive how I felt about 21st Century Breakdown and how I felt about those three albums and still be interested, this was the album where I went, I'm kind of done with Green Day. Okay. I've had my time with them. I will hold that period dear forever. But this was the moment where I went, I don't know, man.
Okay. See, I at least took it as it is something different, noticeably, and obviously after a very tumultuous time, but I at least understood that sense of it because I took it that way. I do think it's on the bottom half. I don't know if I would say trash. However, you compromised with me earlier, so I guess I should compromise with you.
Good man.
Yeah, that is very fair. Yeah, because I would not put it as bronze either, because I was on the aluminum side, but at the same time,
when was the last time
I played it? You beat me to it. Yeah, that's been years, and it's only been out since 2016, so I guess that's not a good argument either. So that is very fair logic. Then we get to this year. Pre-pandemic, when music was still coming and a tour was going to happen and all things Green Day were up. They just got done playing the NHL All-Star Game. And if you haven't seen that, it was killer. They played it here in St. Louis. Oh, so good.
Amazing.
They started outside and they had live camera. They had a stage out there, played one song, had the camera follow them inside onto the ice, and then they played 2 songs with pyro on the ice. Oh, man.
Love that.
They knocked the promotion out of the park with this one. And then the album came out, and I didn't know what to think.
Do you know what, man? Like, I have a slightly different opinion to this to other people, right? Which is, again, this sounds fired up at least. It's a low bar from where we've been on those last 4 records, right? I'd argue the last 5, right?
Yeah.
But, like, it's been a low bar. But at least they sound fired up, right?
Yeah,
like,
I agree with that. Yeah, when you hear some of the stuff. My thing is, I said this in my album review of this that I did earlier this year. The biggest issue for me with Father of All, the singles on this album for me did nothing for me. It was the other songs on this album. See, Oh Yeah, I just could not stop soon enough. Oh Yeah was the one that just put a screw in my brain.
Do you like glam rock?
Some glam rock. You have to like dig deep for the right stuff. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So my folks like raised me on shit like T-Rex.
Okay. You were deep in it. Yeah. Yeah,
and the Sweet and Mud and all those kind of bands. So the sound that they've done there is a bit more appealing to me. Okay. And like I won't front on this. For the title track when it was released, when I heard Billy doing those kind
falsetto,
of higher pitch thing, like it's. I would never, ever, ever not applaud an artist for trying to do something outside of their comfort zone. That is what makes brilliance for people. I'm not sure it works, but the feel of the album at least made me believe in Green Day again.
That's
right.
Fair. Yeah.
I don't think that the quality of the songwriting is very high. Right, I don't think that. I think that I think that because their genre has had such a bad couple of years, right? But if you put this next to the Machine Gun Kelly album, it is so okay boomer, isn't it?
Yeah. I agree.
Like it's really, and I don't want to feel that way about Green Day, right? Yeah. I didn't get as cringed out by the marketing for this record as other people did, right?
I wasn't either. But when I heard I was a teenager, that does sound pretty boomerific.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and as well, like I'm with them, right? I hear what passes for pop punk these days, and I go. You literally need to have punk in it to call it pop punk. Like on a literal level, right? If it does not have punk in it, it is not punk, right? Pop rock, fine.
Yeah, but that's a totally different subgenre,
right?
Yeah.
So I understand why Green Day look at water park. I'm always going to use water parks as the poster child because they're the biggest ones, right? Yeah. So I can understand why Billie Joe would hear water parks and go on the floor, right? Yeah. I would understand why the man who came from 924 Gilman Street would hear that and see Austin and go no, right? And not only no, but we stand against this. And then Green Day are a band that are different to all the other bands within rock music because they're a band that's still getting the charts, right? Yeah. So, and the mainstream charts. Yeah, so they look at the mainstream charts and they're all like, no Swedish songwriters and all the rest of it. Like, I understand why that attitude exists within them. Yeah. And it was nice to see that attitude that I was talking about earlier that I think is such a critical component to Green Day. It's nice to see it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But, there are also these songs.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement on this because I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I don't even think it's their bottom 3 or 4. It's just not gold tier. Like we might differ between which songs are good or bad, but I think we both feel like this is not everything it needed to be, and it's not everything that Green Day should be, even in 2020, 30 years after their debut. So, yeah.
I understand why young people hate this more than someone who's my age, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're 17 and you're into, like, and you love water parks, or you are all about that, or you are all about that new Machine Gun Kelly album.
Yeah, you would not get Green Day. Yeah.
You hear this, and you see them coming out like grumpy old men shouting at the clouds.
Shouting,
I can understand why they disliked it to the extent that they did. Myself, personally, I was just glad to hear a bit of chewed in there again. Do you know what I mean?
I get that. I totally get that. Like, I gave my review back, I guess it was February. I remember giving it a 6 out of 10. Was I a bit more generous than I should have been? Probably. I still don't think it's the worst thing by Green Day's done.
But I'd have only given it one less.
Yeah, I was thinking, that's what I was thinking. Like, I think it was like a 5 out of 10 is probably perfect now that time has passed. So, yeah, it's not gold and silver. It's not trash. It's somewhere in bronze and aluminum.
I'd go for aluminum. It's nowhere near as good as Warning.
No, very true. I think
I think it counted where I see it sitting next to 21st Century Breakdown. Is 21st Century Breakdown feels a bit more clinical, but the songwriting is better. Yeah. Whereas this feels a bit more like loose and
the music side of it's a bit better, but
the music is not so much.
Yeah, I don't know. Man, I think that's very fair though. And Green Day have done just about everything. I know I said at the very beginning of this, I wanted to see the Hella Mega Tour so bad because I've seen Green Day. I've never shot Green Day as a photographer. That's a dream one for me. That's what I would love to do. So I'm traveling somewhere to go see the show, wherever it's going to be. Whenever retours get announced, festivals get announced in 2021, when we all are allowed to go outside again. You have it way worse than I do, by the way, in California. Way worse than I do.
Haven't left the house since March. It's been awesome.
Oh, man. See, I at least have been able to do that. Like, I stay inside now, but still, because I have bad asthma. But still, if I was in California, I'd be doomed. I'd be done. I think...
Yeah, at least the Lakers are in the final, though, eh?
Exactly. That's going to be a fun series, by the way. Fun series.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think the gold standard albums, you have Dookie, you have Insomniac, you have American Idiot. I think that is very fair. I think that's exactly what it should be.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like when I look at that first half, just all magic.
It is.
Varying degrees of magic, man.
It is. I totally agree. So I thank you so much for the time. We talked a lot about everything. This was awesome. I don't really get to have this many conversations with you or with other people with music like this, so this was great. I'm going to plug your stuff again. Please check out Beez's Twitch channel. The link is in below. I mean, he plays live, like all this music, discussion, interviews on Twitch, all this cool stuff. You get to interact with the man while he's doing it too. Not many radio shows or anything else like that you can do that with. He does it on Twitch. Check out his channel. Anything you would like to plug that you have coming up anytime soon that you'd like to talk about?
Just the all things Knotfest.com. I'm lucky enough to work alongside the people at Knotfest. So I do a regular show called Mosh Talks where I put my interviews out there. My Twitch channel is twitch.tv/Mosh Talks. My thanks to you for letting me on here, man. Like, I've been a big fan of what you've done and what you've built for years. That's why we've spoken behind the scenes.
Exactly.
My thank you to you. My thanks to you as well for helping me set up my Twitch channel, man. I'll never forget that. Thank you.
No problem. Happy to do a final thing. I forgot, you're going to be the host of a very special show this Friday night. You want to tell everyone what that is?
Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to be friends with Corey Taylor since the early 2000s. Awesome. And it's a fucking honor to be part of his special day. Corey Taylor, For 'Em or Against Them, October the 2nd at the world famous Los Angeles Forum. Get your tickets, watch.thecoreytaylor.com.
I got my ticket already. Girlfriend and I are going to be watching. Girlfriend and I are going to be watching. That's going to be an awesome show. Like, we saw the highlights of what's going to happen. Oh, man. Check that out. Check Beez's channel out. Listen to Insomniac and don't get pulled over by the cops. Where would you rank all the Green Day albums? Leave a comment, let everyone know. Big thanks to my patrons and a special thanks to Brandon Barenfeld, Chris Doman, McKenna White, and Dom Smith. You can have a say in upcoming videos and see videos early by supporting Rocked on Patreon. Please consider helping the channel and clicking on the link in the video description for more info. Please subscribe to stay notified on upcoming videos. You can check out my cause for photography on Instagram, and you can keep up to date with Rocked on Facebook and Twitter.